Hello, welcome to Straight Talk Africa, live from the Voice of America studios here in Washington. It's Wednesday, May 9th. I am Shaka Ssali. Today, we'll talk about the presidential runoff in France and its political implications for Africa. In with the new, out with the old. There is a new president in France, refreshing and much needed, say some. Still others say the defeat of French President Nicolas Sarkozy spells catastrophe, and the election of the socialist Francois Hollande will bring economic policies with ramifications in Europe and elsewhere. As regards to the victory's impact on Francophone Africa, we can only speculate. My colleague Paul Sisco has more on this story.
The announcement came shortly after the polls closed. By a clear margin, socialist candidate Francois Hollande is the new president of France, beating Nicolas Sarkozy in a presidential runoff. Jubilation on the streets of Paris. Across town at Sarkozy headquarters, grief, jeers, and tears. The French people have made their choice, a democratic choice, said Sarkozy. Mr. Hollande is president of France and must be respected.
I hope with all my heart that our country will succeed in coming through its challenges, because there is something that is much greater than us. That is our country, our homeland. It is France.
The flamboyant Sarkozy leaves the office the nation's first single-term head of state in 31 years. He is replaced by 57-year-old Francois Hollande, who has been termed the anti-Sarkozy and Mr. Normal for his slow and steady approach to office. Despite 30 years in French politics, until now, he has never held a high government position.
Ma fierté aussi, 31 ans après.
I have heard you, your will for change, your strength, your hope, and I want to express to you all of my gratitude.
While France celebrates its first socialist victory in 24 years, economic markets responded negatively to it. President-elect Hollande says the tough European Union austerity measures championed by Sarkozy and German Chancellor Merkel choke growth. While in office, President Sarkozy cracked down on illegal immigrants from the continent and elsewhere. And Hollande has said limiting immigration is necessary during this economic slowdown. France's relationship with Africa is broader than just immigration. Every candidate says the special relationship between France and its former African colonies will continue. Sarkozy retained ties to some long-time African leaders and forged new friendships with ones like Alassane Ouattara, the democratically elected president of the Ivory Coast, and with former President Abdoulaye Wade of Senegal. French military muscle was instrumental in bringing an end to the Ivory Coast crisis and Laurent Gbagbo's eventual arrest. Sarkozy strongly denies accusations that Libya's Muammar Gaddafi helped finance his election campaign in 2007. The French president led calls for the international military intervention in Libya that helped bring down Gaddafi after the popular uprising against the Libyan leader turned violent. French policies towards Africa remain a major point of contention. Sarkozy never made good on promises to reduce its military presence on the continent. France has bases in Gabon, Chad, and Ivory Coast. Many argue French banks maintain a stranglehold on its Francophone relations. President-elect Hollande has repeatedly promised to restructure French policy in Africa on the basis of equality and solidarity, but has offered no specifics or any policy changes. The new president will be sworn in on May 15th, followed immediately by bilateral talks in the United States with President Barack Obama, the G8 summit at nearby Camp David, and a NATO summit in Chicago. Paul Sisco, VOA News.